Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology.
Good evening, fellow techies, and those of us who are not techies. Welcome to another live and exciting broadcast of the Bit Tech Talk podcast, aka the Blacks in Technology podcast. Tonight, we are letting the youth speak. This is the youth edition, their voices. Last weekend, we talked to the parents of coders, and this week we will be talking to coders themselves. I am your host, Greg Greenlee, and in case this is your first time listening, I am the founder of the Blacks in Technology organization. We're an organization with an established online community of about 1,100 members nationwide, and some even overseas. I am a systems engineer with over 12 years of experience in the IT field. You can check Blacks in Technology. You can check us out at www.blacksintechnology.net. Join. It's free. Become engaged in the community. We're a community of black techs and engineers. See what we're about, see what we're talking about. Lots of great tech conversations, lots of great podcasts. And this is just the beginning. So join, support, donate if you can. There's a donate button on the homepage of the site. In case this is your first time listening to this podcast, or hearing about Blacks in Technology, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on us. We were founded about 4 years ago as a way to build a sense of community among black engineers and techs and people looking to learn, looking to get into the IT or the technology career field, share knowledge about the world of technology. And we want people in the community to build and learn from each other because we have experts across all domains of technology. We have mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, software engineers, etc. And we're also trying to help create world-class technologists. So we want people out, our people participating in this great industry, becoming speakers at conferences, builders, innovators. So we're looking for engagement from everyone, no matter your skill level or expertise, because, here at Blacks in Technology, this is all about building community, building creators and innovators, and most of all, controlling our image as techs and engineers. So our main goal of Blacks in Technology is to stop the divide, and we're accomplishing that by focusing on three things: increasing visibility, increasing participation, and changing the perceptions of black in the technology field. Like I said, you can check us out, blacksintechnology.net. We also have a technology blog. It's a blog written entirely by African-American techs and engineers, and that's bitdigest.net. You can follow us on Twitter. That's Black in Technology. That's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. And also at Bit Tech Digest. It's BITTECHDIGEST. We also have a LinkedIn group under Blacks in Technology, and also a Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Blacks in Technology. So this is officially our 48th episode of the Bit Tech Talk podcast. But this is our second live podcast, and we're counting down to our 50th podcast. With that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my magnificent co-host and fellow techie extraordinaire, Ayori Selassie. What's going on, Ayori? How are you doing tonight?
Hi, Greg. Doing great. Really excited about the show we have going on for you guys tonight. So definitely we are, as of today, we're only one podcast away from our 50th podcast. So this is our fourth in our special series of 5, where we count down to the 50th podcast and take a deep dive into the topics of perception, participation, and visibility of African Americans in technology. Now, today's topic focuses on participation, and we're talking to some very special guests. We're so excited to have them. We're featuring our young people. We know that young people represent the largest end of the STEM pipeline: science, technology, engineering, and math. And we frequently hear the saying that the children are the future, but, we really believe that our children aren't just the future, they're now. And our special guests we have here today are really out there showing that. They're doing some amazing things, and we really want to give them an opportunity to share their story, to share their experiences in their voices, so that other young people out there can hear them and relate to them. So I want to start with introducing Rebecca. Rebecca has built apps and games, and she codes in HTML, JavaScript, Ruby, and Ruby on Rails, and I was really fortunate to hear her give an incredible talk last night in San Francisco, where she presented alongside some of the other young Black Girls Code at the Lean Startup Conference.
Nice.
Her talk was so incredible that she received a standing ovation. So I really am very proud to be in her company and welcome Rebecca to Bit Tech Talk. Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Great. Can you share a little bit about yourself so the folks can sort of hear in your own words?
Sure. I'm 14 years old. I've been coding since March of this year, and it's really amazing how much I've made in less than a year.
Yeah, that's awesome. We had your mom, Wilda, on the show last week, and we heard about some of the amazing things that you've been doing, and a lot of the parents were really inspired by what she's done with you. So we're really happy to have you share your story today. Thanks for joining us. And also, we have Maya joining us from Atlanta, so she's staying up late, and we give a major thanks to her parents for letting her join our podcast tonight. Maya is an entrepreneur. She's a philanthropist, a designer, an artist, an animator, and she's also the CEO of Maya's Ideas, a company she started when she was just 8 years old. Maya, welcome to the Bit Tech Talk.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be a part of this podcast.
Awesome. Can you share a little bit more about yourself in your own words?
Well, in the tech world, I've been really interested in a lot of scripting, such as HTML, and since I'm also an artist and an animator, I have to work with a lot of scripting when I'm working with some of my digital animations. And I'm also learning Python, too, and JavaScript.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you, Maya. And I want to also just quickly introduce Maya and Rebecca's parents also because they're also joining us on this podcast. So we have John and Deirdre, who are Maya's parents. Just pop right on in and give us a holler.
Yeah, this is John, Maya's dad, and Deirdre's right next to me, and we would just want to, thank you for welcoming us onto this broadcast. I've really followed what BIT has been doing over the last couple of years, and my daughter Maya is really to be on this call as well.
Well, thanks, John. Definitely appreciate you being a fan of the organization and then listening and following what we're doing. We're definitely trying to do more and more things each year. So thanks for supporting us.
And also, Wilda, we want to welcome you back from last week.
Hello.
Hey. Okay. And so this is great. So I want to just take a step back and actually ask how you young girls got involved in sort of being makers and coders and crafters. How did you start? What kind of got you interested in doing this stuff at such a young age? Let's start with Rebecca.
Really what got me interested in it was when I first discovered gaming, and I loved pretty much everything about it, and that's playing it and making it and watching other people play it.
And how about you, Maya?
Well, at about 4 years old, my dad showed me how to take apart a computer and put it back together, and that is what really sparked my love of technology. And I've always been really interested in it between how websites are built, or like Rebecca, how games are created. And I've always been really interested in that, and I've always hoped to try to create something myself. So I started, researching about HTML, which was a really cool platform for me at the time, and I just kind of started from there, and then I started going into different coding languages too.
Awesome. That's great. So you code and you make other stuff as well, right? Can you talk a little bit about some of the other things you make?
Well, I make eco-friendly clothing and accessories, and I also make animated short films. And one of my animated short films is actually based around technology, and it's called Malicious Dishes. And the idea for it came from, well, one day I had a virus on my computer, and so I was trying to get rid of it, and I kind of thought, well, what if viruses had their own little world inside the computer, like, maybe a restaurant where they meet up and do stuff. And so I thought that I could make like a little cartoon out of it. And so that's where Malicious Dishes started. And there are a lot of different technical references in Malicious Dishes that a lot of techies, and maybe even non-techies, will get.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
That's great.
So,
yeah, that's excellent because you took the concept of animation, learning. You took the concept of meetups, and you combine that all into one good thing and put it out there. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I think animation could also be a great way to present some technology concepts to people who aren't used to or who aren't into technology and just learning. So I think that's wonderful.
There's a lot of technology involved with, of course, digital animation in general. And I was really excited to premiere Malicious Dishes at TED Women in San Francisco this past week.
Oh, excellent.
That's great. I'm gonna have to find that TED Talk and check it out. I can learn a thing or two from you, Maya. And for Rebecca, so I know you're making things also. Your mom's into crafts and stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you like to make as well, in addition to your coding?
Games and apps and actually I do make animations. I actually made a birthday animation for my mom for her past birthday. So yeah.
That's awesome. And so when you think of yourself, Maya, I wonder, how do you kind of like describe yourself? Do you think of yourself as a maker, as a coder, a creator? Is there a specific word that like resonates with you most?
Well, I kind of think I'm a little bit of everything, but I like to call myself an artist and also a developer or like a scripter or a coder because I'm really interested in that. I also like to call myself an artist as well.
Okay.
Excellent. In case you're just joining us or you're listening to the Bit Tech Talks, this is episode 48, and we're talking with young African Americans in tech, and we're listening to their voices tonight. We have Rebecca and we have Maya on tonight, and we're talking to them about their endeavors in technology. So I want to ask, I direct this at you, Maya. Are there any people in the technology field besides your parents that you look up to as far as your craft and as far as coding?
Well, I have met so many different people who are doing so many amazing things. Everywhere I go, when I do my different talks, I meet so many other people and youth and African Americans who are doing so many amazing things in the technology industry. And I also want to recognize Grace Hopper because today is her 107th birthday, and she was she was a female who did a lot of extraordinary things in the technology industry. She really kickstarted a lot of things. So I also want to recognize her.
Excellent. That's funny. Today, I actually, somebody posted on Twitter. They posted a video, interview with Grace Hopper and David Letterman. David Letterman's a late night talk show host, and Grace Hopper was actually, I think she was about 80 at the time. She was actually a guest on David Letterman, and at 80 years old, she was still very, very sharp, very, very witty, and just amazing. Just to hear her speak and talk about how she came up in the world of computing. So yeah, that's excellent. What about you, Rebecca? Is there anybody that you look up to?
Actually, there is. Devaris Brown, who works at Zendesk, who really taught me pretty much everything I know about coding. I really look up to him.
Excellent, excellent. So can you tell us who right now is your biggest supporter, Rebecca?
Definitely my mom, because she has been there from the beginning and has supported me in everything I've done.
Excellent, excellent. Tell us some of the ways that she's actually supported you in your endeavors.
She has made a lot of things possible, like giving me the courage to pretty much do everything that I've done and the, drive to do it.
Yeah, that's important, that you have that confidence and that you have her as a supporter, and that she's behind you 100%. She's giving you that encouragement, because we hear a lot as far as our youth are concerned, that there's just not enough encouragement for them to want to go into the STEM-related fields, and the fact that your mom is there supporting you 100% and actually encouraging you to do this, as opposed to some people deterring. I've actually heard stories of counselors deterring students and deterring the youth from going into these STEM-related fields. So that's excellent. What about you, Maya?
Who is supporting me?
Yeah, who is your biggest supporter?
Well, really, if I have to say something, my biggest supporters have been my parents, because they've always been there with me, and they've always, encouraged me, and always, accepted everything that I really wanted to pursue, and always have, told me that, you can do it, and they've always, given me the resources that I need, and even if I didn't receive resources, just their encouragement is really awesome.
That's great. That's great to hear.
So actually, I want to bring in a question we have from Twitter. Hack Talk Blog has wanted to pose a question to you both. If you could collaborate with any developer, who would you collaborate with? Anybody in particular you could think of? Any maybe founders of companies or anything like that?
Probably Notch, the guy who founded Mojang, the company that makes Minecraft.
Ooh, yeah. Named Notch. Notch is the creator of Minecraft, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched a really cool documentary about how they built Minecraft. And my daughter's a big fan of it. We play it together. That's a great person. I would want to collaborate with them as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I want to probably collaborate with a lot of the developers at Pixar, because I've been researching a lot about the technology they use at Pixar, and it's really amazing. They have this is when I first started, learning more about tech. A long time ago, I started learning more about technology and animation, and how they have to build their own tools, for example, just for little things in the movie. For example, Ratatouille. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Ratatouille, how they had to make tools just to make the food, the movie, look more realistic. And I thought that was really cool, so I definitely want to collaborate with some of the developers at Pixar.
Interesting, very interesting. I like that answer, because I'm a systems engineer, so I don't code all the time, but I definitely read about companies such as Google or Twitter who have to develop tools out, for themselves that aren't actually out in production, and they have to develop these tools internally just so they could, become more efficient in their jobs, or they need a tool to do something and there's not a tool that's created to do that. So that's very, very, very great answer.
So I want to ask another question, because you both have really kind of gotten out there and learned to do a lot in a little bit of time. So for young people out there, are there any particular sites that you would recommend for people to check out and learn from? What would you say? We'll start with Maya.
Well, I would suggest, because I've learned a lot about most of my coding and scripting from the internet, and of course my dad, since he's in the technology industry too. What I would recommend are w3schools.com, because they have a lot of great resources for between HTML, CS, JavaScript, whatever you learn. W3 Schools is really great. And then also Udacity.com is also a great resource to learn different classes. Me and my dad are actually going through a Python class right now, and so we're kind of learning it together.
That's great. I remember actually starting also with W3 Schools myself when I was just about your age. So you have just been put on just the right path. I'm so excited to hear that. How about you, Rebecca? What kind of sites would you recommend?
I would recommend codecademy.com and also Ruby the Hard Way.
Ruby the Hard Way. That's great.
Nice. I'm actually learning more and more about Python using Code Academy. So Code Academy for the win.
Mm-hmm.
Python for the win, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
I like Python.
Python is cool.
Yeah, definitely. So let me ask you all this: What has been your most challenging problem that you've ever solved through either coding, making, crafting? What's been your most challenging problem, and how did you solve it? I'm going to start this with Rebecca.
Probably the app that we made for the level the playing field hackathon this past month, which was an app called Food Bank. So, like, if restaurants or grocery stores have too much food, and most of that food's probably going to go to waste, so they can give it to distributors who have, like, churches and stuff, and give it out to the homeless.
Yeah. Excellent. Socially conscious, and that's a very good app.
Mm-hmm.
Very good problem to solve too. That's excellent. And what was the name of the hackathon again?
It was the Level the Playing Field hackathon.
Level playing. Okay, great. What about you, Maya?
Well, my most challenging problem, technology-wise, was when I was trying to start working a little bit more with ActionScript for a lot of my animations, and I've been having to tweak a lot of the code snippets that I use in ActionScript to kind of make them work to how I envision that they should work. And I tend to run through some snags there, but I do solve the problem when I look back over the code and also do some more research too. But it's really cool because I'm learning to kind of develop my own tools as well, and that's kind of a way that I learned by kind of changing up the code snippets to how I want them to fit my needs too.
Excellent. Nice. If you just joined us right now, we're talking to Rebecca and Maya. This is the Bit Tech Talk. This is the youth episode. We're listening to their voices, and we're talking to two young ladies in tech who make, code, and build things. And so if you have any questions, chime in. Use the hashtag Big Tech Talk on Twitter. We're taking questions from our audience and our listeners via Twitter. So we'll move on to the next question.
Yeah. So I'm really curious. You young ladies are out there coding, building, making things, and obviously you enjoy it. So you feel like it's important. Why do you think it's important for young people to learn how to code?
Well, I think it's really important for young people to learn how to code because really they're given so many more resources and more tools to kind of, develop the web to how they want it to and how they can, in the way that they can help other people, like how they might have an idea for, maybe they just want to change how the homepage interface looks on their browser. They can easily do that themselves with code. Or if they want to view something if they want to view something on a website, like certain data, you'd only be able to view if you knew how to code, then they will be able to do that too, and it might be able to help them. I think it gives them a lot of resources to really explore and really get into pretty much how their world is built, because the world now is really built around technology, and it's really important to know how everything is built.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. What about you, Rebecca? What do you think? Why is it important for young people to code?
Mostly because there is a big divide, as we've been talking about, with no young people there.
Yeah. And do you think it's especially important for minorities, whether you're African American or Latino or other races? Do you think it's equally important, or do you think it's more important as an African American?
Definitely more important.
But talk to me about that a little bit. Why do you think it's more important?
Because we get looked down to a lot, and, well, there really isn't that many people like us there.
Yeah, so when you're out, attending certain tech events, and I know I've experienced this myself, is that I'm often the only person of color, African American, and also often the only woman. And so that is, I think that's not good, because I think we have different types of ideas, right? Like, as a woman, I might see things differently, or I might come up with ideas and different approaches and ways of solving problems. And I think that it's true for minorities as well, from the African American perspective, based on our different experiences. Would you both agree with that? Do you have anything else to say about that?
Well, I think that it's extremely important for minorities and minorities going through race, and also for women to get more technology too, because most people, when they think of someone developing technology, they might not think of a woman, or they might not think of an African American person. And we kind of need to change the face of technology. And really, the face of technology, it can be anybody. Like anybody who's really interested in coding or developing or scripting, or just the way that websites and tools are built, and if they really want to get into that and, build something themselves. The face of technology should just be anybody. Anybody can create a code, or anyone can create a program or develop technology.
That is incredibly powerful, and this is why that's what you just said is so powerful, because when we have programs like, Black Girls Code or Black Founders or Blacks in Technology, there's talk and there's chatter about, why do you have, certain organizations geared only towards minorities? And I always like to say this, organizations like Black Girls Code, organizations like Blacks in Technology, is not to be inclusive. It's not so that we are exclusive. It's to be included, right? So that we are participating in technology, and that so that we are included in the technology career fields. And so that I definitely want to definitely want to give you props for mentioning that we are the face of technology as well, and that we need to be represented as well as anyone else out there. So that was definitely a great answer.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could have said it better than that, actually.
Yeah. I definitely didn't say it better.
Hey, so I have another question from Twitter. And the question is, how would you recommend that someone get involved with tech? And I think maybe if you can speak from the perspective of youth, but also, like, what do you think about adults as well? Because there are some adults out there who feel like they're too old to get involved with tech. So what would you recommend? How would you recommend someone get involved with tech? To start with Rebecca.
I would recommend like Black Girls Code for younger people, and probably Coursera for older people like my mom, who is actually learning Python right now.
Nice.
Great. And what about you, Maya? What do you think?
Well, first off, it doesn't matter how young or how old you are, because you know what? If you really have a passion for, technology and what you want to do, you should go ahead and pursue it. And then I think it's really good to, first off, do research and kind of try to decide what you want to start with, because you kind of have to start somewhere. With how I started with HTML, with someone else might want to start with JavaScript, or someone else might want to start with Python. And some things are hard for some people, some things are easier for some people. It depends what they're kind of comfortable with. And then, of course, it's really good to look at a lot of tutorials online. That's what I look at, a lot of different, I go through a lot of like online classes, like on Udacity or W3 Schools, which are really, really helpful, because W3 Schools actually has a compiler on their website. And I think another good thing is to reach out to other people who are into technology or working on the same type of, coding or scripting language that you're working with. Just maybe like ask for some tips, or, share about what you're currently working on, and, kind of make connections and share your experiences. You'll learn other things from other people. And when you start coding, it's just don't be afraid to experiment. Like, I've tried some of the craziest things in coding, and they actually work. And sometimes they don't work. Sometimes they do, and you kind of teach yourself different things just from trial and error, which is really used in everyday life. And you always have to be really committed, because it will take a lot of practice. You won't just learn HTML overnight. Well, some people do, but usually that is not the case. So you definitely have to stay committed and research.
Those are excellent points, especially about reaching out and finding somebody in that area that you're looking to go into. There's user groups all around. There's IRC channels, Internet Relay Chat, if anybody knows about those. There's those as well. Blacks in Technology, I want to recommend that site, of course, because it's my site. And we have a lot of developers and people that are willing to help and give advice and mentor online for anybody who has a coding problem. We have quite a few people who put code up on our site, and they get feedback. So definitely reaching out is an excellent. I want to ask a question we got on Twitter, and I'll direct this at you, Maya. First, are your parents hard on you about coding, or do you pursue it as something fun? Is it something that that this is just so enjoyable right now that you just love it?
Well, of course I kind of started the whole coding thing myself. I kind of discovered the world of coding and technology, and I wanted to really pursue it. And my dad has been really encouraging me and has been introducing me to new languages. So my parents have kind of taken my passion for coding and technology and been trying to help me grow it and, help me learn more things about it.
Nice, nice. What about you, Rebecca?
Basically the same, because it started for me as like an after-school hobby, and then it kind of blossomed into like, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And yeah, she has kind of pushed me to my fullest abilities. My mom.
Nice. That's a good segue into the next question. I know you mentioned Maya. You mentioned programming languages. What programming languages are you currently working with right now? And then tell me which language is the most fun to work with?
Well, programming languages I'm currently working with are JavaScript and Python. I'm mostly researching more going into Python. I'm really familiar with HTML, and I'm also familiar with ActionScript too. And I think the most fun ones to work with, that's kind of hard. But this is only for like Flash animators, or people working with Flash, but I really like using ActionScript because there's kind of so many things that you can do with it, especially like visually, too, because Flash is based around drawing and designing and animating and creating visuals and music. So I think that ActionScript is pretty fun.
Excellent. What about you, Rebecca? Which languages are you currently working with right now, and which ones are the most enjoyable to work with?
Currently, I'm working on Ruby on Rails, and probably the most fun language that I've learned and worked with is JavaScript.
Excellent. Why JavaScript? Why is that fun for you?
Because of all of the ifs and do's and all of that.
Nice. And Maya, why is your favorite?
Well, I guess because you can really experiment with it a lot. You can experiment with it a lot because it's kind of you can use it on different interfaces and you can kind of tie it into different things. Like if you draw like in Flash and you want it to, if you click on it and you want it to perform a certain action, you can do that with ActionScript. So.
Nice. In case you're just joining us, we're talking to Rebecca and Maya, two young African-American coders, creators. This is Bit Tech Talk, episode 48. This is our youth in technology, and we're listening to their voices. If you have any questions for our young coders, use the hashtag BitTechTalk, that's BITTECHTALK, and we'll try to get to your questions.
Awesome. So I want to direct this question to Maya. Since you started your company at 8 years old, my daughter is 7, and she wants to build a game. She's pitched her concept at different hackathons, and she's worked on her concepts and things like that. But I wonder, what advice would you give her for what she wants to do, building a game, starting a company? What advice would you give to her?
Well, I just want to say that I think that's really, really awesome. And I think a good place for her to start, because I don't like going by, since she's so young, but I think a good place to start for her, since she is so young, is maybe with different programs or she wants to make games, different programs like maybe Stencil or different little game makers that you can, little safe game makers that you can find around the web. Stencil is a really great one. It still requires some coding, but they have, your own little sprite maker and, your own little level maker where you can actually draw out how you want the levels to look and different things like that. So it gives you a lot of tools already, but it still gives you the chance to, do a lot of coding and different things too. So I think that's a good way to learn. and also just learning some, other basic codes around the web too.
She was a little frustrated with she was using the App Inventor, and she was building something in the App Inventor, but she had in her mind a very clear picture of how she wanted her app to work and everything she wanted it to do, and she wasn't able to do it in the App Inventor to start out. And so she was a little frustrated with that. So what would you say to someone who, has in their mind, this great picture and image of things that they want to build, but when they're starting out new, what they're able to create doesn't quite look like what they had envisioned? I want to direct this to both of you guys. What would you say to a person in that kind of situation as they're starting out new?
Well, I'm gonna say first, and then I'm gonna let Rebecca answer too. I think first you have to figure out why it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Like, was it a certain line of code that you wrote that didn't make it appear on the screen correctly, or is there something that you might need to adjust or add, or why didn't it work? And then you can have to investigate, like go online. Like, research is really, really important. Like, I can't express how important it is to research everything. Every question you have, there's always usually an answer on the internet. So you can also look to see if anyone else is having similar problems too, and what they did to solve them. And then when you kind of, get some ideas of how you can fix it, don't be afraid to experiment and kind of try your own way of solving the problem.
Fantastic advice. What about you, Rebecca? What would you say?
I would say never give up and always keep working at it. And also, like Maya said, like, if you're getting this, like, one error that you don't understand, like, search it and see if anyone had that problem before. And if not, just keep tweaking the code as best as you can.
Yeah, that's incredible advice. And that's the same advice I give to people who come into my company when they're new. And because even developers and stuff who've been doing it a long time, sometimes they want that quick answer and, why isn't this working? And I'm always like, did you Google it? Like, And so advice works for adults as well, and it never gets old. There's always, almost always somebody who has hit that issue that you've hit, and you can find it online, but you got to troubleshoot and really just dig and not give up. I mean, it's just, the advice sounds so basic, but it's just so real. So that's great advice.
Yeah, definitely. I want to ask the next question. I know Maya and Rebecca, you both are using online resources quite a bit in learning to code and getting answers, getting some of your questions answers, things like that. But are there any books that you all read, dedicated to coding or design? Or I'll let you answer first, Rebecca. Is there any books that you recommend reading, or is there any that you read yourself?
I actually have not read any books about it.
Okay, so most of your learning has been online research?
Yes, and in person.
Okay, excellent. What about you, Maya? Is there any books that you read?
Well, I haven't read any books yet, but I've been looking online recently, actually, for a lot of books on coding and scripting, because I know that, I've really discovered that also, because of course online is a great resource too, but books are also really great resource for a lot of information too, and especially when people kind of write from their own perspectives and their experience in coding. So I'm actually about to get a little bit more into reading some more books about technology.
Nice.
Great. I mean, actually, I would just recommend that you both just go ahead and write a book because the comments that we're there, for some folks, I want to just call out Christopher Ames, he's like, I love these kids. They are so on top of their game right now. And he said, never give up. And I think you both are inspiring people, adults and youth right now with what you're doing. And also Lena Carew, she just said she was really blown away by your voices and what you're saying. I mean, you guys are just amazing to me. This is great.
Definitely. So I think we're going to get into the last question here.
Do you mind, Greg, if we bring in the parents? I really want to just hear a little bit from Maya's parents, John and Deidre, and also Wilda. Is there anything you want to say right now, just from listening to the advice that your daughters are putting out there? We'll start with John and Deidre.
First of all, this has been a really interesting discussion because we don't normally have kind of objective discussions about how we're going about learning. And hearing so much from Maya on the specific subject, because it's kind of like you kind of do it every day, and we've, as parents, we've from the beginning have put together her homeschool curriculum. It's always trial and error doing it, and sometimes I think it's really important for you to take be open-minded and observant with your child to take some cues from them on what their interests are. Sometimes I think learning traditionally, the way that I grew up, although it might be more standardized or regimented, may not really support my talents or my interests, when I was growing up. And I think, that we've kind of learned as parents, both Didi and I agree that we wanted to have a tailored education for Maya, and that's why she's homeschooled. So we have a tendency to really focus on her strengths. We do recognize her weaknesses, but I think, overall, when you support and listen to what their talents are, and get a sense, she had a really strong sense already what she wanted to be. And now she was going to be an animator at 3, so we kind of knew that's nice. Her passion, and that's what she wanted to do in life, and we wanted to support that. Then we we would develop a curriculum around that, which included programming.
Fantastic.
I definitely commend you, the parents, on a fabulous job that you've done with your children. I think that's awesome that she knew at 3 years old. I don't think I know for sure I didn't know at 3 years old what I wanted to do. And I have a 4-year-old, and he's just so full of energy, and but he gives clues as to what he wants to do, and he's around me quite a bit when I'm on my computer and things like that. But even still, I don't think he's actually came and said, "Hey, this is what I want to do," and been firm about that thing. So I think that's excellent.
And what about you, Deidre? Deidre, do you have anything, any remarks you wanted to make?
I don't think she particularly, she's signing to me that, not really, she says that I said enough as it was. Okay. But just talking just a second for her, I do think that she feels the same way in terms of just nurturing maybe some of the things she's with Maya most of the time, so I think she really has a good sense of what Maya's interested in. And I think since both Deidre and I are creative people, we both have been in the music industry, and I've been on the tech side, that we kind of try to instill a balance between creativity and technology.
Mhm. Yeah. That's definitely important to the balance. I mean, and especially when you're homeschooling your kids, because we have this perception of when children are in, traditional school classroom setting, that they're getting a really, great balanced exposure of social skills and technology and, following, authority and things like that. But I don't think it's necessarily true. In any environment you put your kids in, there are going to be pros and there are going to be cons. And as a parent, it's our job to recognize what those are and really take the lead because, we're responsible for our kids. And so when you bring your kid, your child, and you homeschool them, you're also having to make those decisions and expose them to the right things. So for my daughter, we're actually putting her into she's going to be taking some day classes, just one day a week at the university, so that she can just keep her math really growing. And that's a decision that you're faced with, to make the decision of what's best to do in a classroom setting, what's better to do at home, and how can you best support them in their growth. I want to make sure we give some time to Wilda also. I saw you, just beaming with so much pride last night when Rebecca was talking. So do you have any comments, anything you wanted to say?
How could you not beam? She is making my decision to homeschool look like the genius decision of the year. She's making me look like a genius. How can you not be proud?
Aww.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I want to leave off with one last question. I want to pose to the young ladies here. For people both young and old, this is coming from Twitter from Hack Talk blog. For people both young and old looking to code, what would you recommend as a first initial project? I'll let you go ahead and answer first, Rebecca.
Well, my first website I ever coded was basically just a blue screen that said like my middle name and like a couple of boxes. So I would start out with like just a simple header, paragraph, and tags. Just something simple.
Something real simple in HTML just to get them up and running.
Yes.
Nice. What about you, Maya?
I would kind of say the same thing. Like when I first started creating, like in the early stages of my first site, I started with the same approach. I kind of just opened up a little notepad document and I started just writing out some basic code, header, body, paragraph, tables, and just kind of, getting the feel of everything, and then I started experimenting a little more, like going into changing the fonts or changing the size of the words, making the word bold or a different color, adding pictures, you kind of move on over time. And then I started working and using different tools.
Excellent.
Yeah, coding is just like learning how to walk, right? We all start in the same place.
Yeah.
Any programming book you pick up, the first thing you're going to do is hello world and something very simple. And that is just not to be discounted. That's where everybody starts at. So, keep it simple and just keep growing on top of that.
Yeah, definitely. I know my first was Hello World and Python via Code Academy. So I want to thank everybody for participating. Rebecca and Maya, Wilda, Deidre, and John. Definitely want to thank you for joining us tonight on this podcast. And it was a great podcast, a lot of good information, a lot of great insight into the lives of our young coders. I just want to thank you. Thank everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Before we let you go, though, I want to make sure you guys get a chance to give some closing remarks because we just gave you guys this rapid-fire Q&A, and you guys didn't know what questions were coming, and you guys just handled it so well. So I want to open the floor up. Is there anything you just want to say? You have the floor. Rebecca?
I would say that next to this was next to the talk I gave last night. This was one of the most, I guess to say, intimidating things of my life.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Next to the talk I gave last night.
We'll take that. Definitely take that.
Well, I mean, when you have a room full of people just standing up and applauding for you, it's tough to top that. But,
yeah.
I think next to what I saw last night, this was definitely, just top that for last night for me, because last night I didn't get a chance to talk to you. So this is great. How about you, Maya?
Well, I want to say I've had a great time talking to everyone, including Rebecca. I think everything that she's doing is really awesome. And I think that everything you guys are doing is really awesome, too. And anyone who is aspiring to be a developer or a coder, or is just really interested in technology, then really pursue that passion. If that's really what you want to go for, then you really just have to go for it. Because especially, for people like we were talking about earlier who are maybe a minority or are female or are youth, we need more people who representing those different diverse sections. And I think that it's really coding is just really awesome. It really is.
Excellent. We definitely want to thank you again. In case you just heard from two of our young African American coders, Rebecca and Maya. And we want to wish you all, the best of luck in the future and in your endeavors in coding. And if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to post a question on Blacks in Technology in our forums, and we'll definitely be sure to help you all out. Any parting words from you, Ayori?
No, just I am so happy for this podcast. I just want to thank again Maya, Rebecca, John, Deidre, and Wilda for joining us today. And today's actually my mom's birthday, and so I just want to say happy birthday to my mom and give a major big thanks and shout out to her, because what these young girls are doing is, and what their parents are doing for them, my mom did the same thing for me, and just dedicated so much time. And I just really, my heart goes out to all the parents out there who are, really just raising their kids, because, the children aren't the future. The children are now. I mean, just stand up and just recognize them. Wherever they are, just recognize them, because they are doing it, and just believe in them with all your heart, because, they can take it, and they are.
Definitely. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
And so for next, actually, Ayori, I think we, in a couple of days, we're going to have a Founders Edition of the Bit Tech Talk. So tune in. I think that's going to be 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to have a Founders Edition. So tune in here again for a live edition. It's going to be Founders Edition. We're going to talk to some founders of several startup companies, and we're going to get some insight as to into the companies and to how they started their companies. So tune in Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
All right. Thanks.
Think it is.
Blacks in technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.